Hi everybody, it's Kimberly here. Well, I haven't posted a lot of my story times and I've been preoccupied with my storage unit drama, but hopefully this will die down or something. I don't know. The facility hired a security guard. So I don't know. I'm just getting tired and it's getting old. So I'm just only gonna make a video about it if it blows up or catches on fire or something. I don't know. But I'm gonna try to get back to my story times and other things, other videos. I have a story time today, and it's a little bit. I know it's dark out here, and there's kids screaming and yelling. I'm at the park. So it kind of goes maybe with the story I'm going to tell. I have a story that's a little bit scary, or it was a lot scary because I was very young when this happened. And back in the 70s, you could leave your kids in the car, you could leave them by themselves at home all day, and you could drop them off at a public place and just drive off and leave your kids. And it wasn't a big deal back then. I remember numerous times where I was just dropped off when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I just ran wild for hours. That was normal kind of behavior. It wasn't like a crime. You wouldn't get in trouble for doing that. Now, if you did that, you would probably be arrested and have social services all over you. So don't do that nowadays, but back then it was okay. You could do stuff like that. Things were a lot different when I grew up. Well, the beginning of this is, it's at a swimming pool. Me and my sisters and a couple of, I think my sister's best friend and another girl was there. I can't really remember. It was a bunch of us little girls, and I was the oldest. And we were at this huge swimming pool. It was like a Olympic-sized swimming pool. It had a deep end with a huge diving board that was like 30 feet high or something like that. And then it had the baby diving board, which was like, very low, you could just jump off of it. And it was a big thrill to go jump off the big diving board, and we'd do that. And then I was a really good swimmer. I could swim really good, and I couldn't dive off the big diving board. I could dive off the small one, but the big one, I just couldn't do it. I was too scared. But we stayed there all day. My mom would drop us off. We stayed there all day, like 8 hours. Oh, gosh, sorry. This is probably going to happen. I'm going to have to turn the car on and off. I waited so late to make this video. The sun went down, but I was eating chili cheese fries earlier, and the sun went down so fast I didn't get my timing right, but maybe this will stop. Okay. Yeah, she would drop us off and we would stay there, and she'd give us it was like 33 cents to get in. Three of us, me and my two sisters, would go swimming. I think it was like $1.05 or $1 something, or maybe 35 cents for each one, something like that, to get in to go swimming all day. And we would stay there like 8 or 9, all the way till, I think it opened at like 11 o'clock, and we would stay there till like 8 o'clock or something. And she'd give us $1 each, and we would eat chips and Cokes, whatever, just trash food all day. And to us, that was heaven. We'd stay there and get sunburned and eat chips and chili cheese chips and sour cream potato, onion potato chips and Cokes, and that was the way. A lot of people did that with their kids, just drop them off somewhere and give them $1 and let them eat. And we were there, and this guy was there, and he noticed that I was a good swimmer. I was swimming in the deep end. My sisters and their friends were over there playing in the shallow end, and I was swimming back and forth. I was doing laps, and I did like 20 or 30 of them, back and forth. And I was diving under the water, and I could make it almost across the pool with one breath. I'd have to come up about 10 feet short, and I was practicing to try to get all the way across. And this was like 50 or 60 feet, you know, and I can't remember, 10 or 11, maybe. I had to be under 12 years old. And we were just doing our own thing, and this guy kept, like, watching me. And then he came over and started talking to me. He was older. He was, like, in his 20s. And he was telling me, you know, how to swim deeper or how to kick my feet or something. Oh, that was my stomach growling. And he was talking to me, and I was like, okay, you know, and I thought he was, like, kind of like a lifeguard or something. I didn't really know who he was, but he was just kind of fixated on me. And then I needed to go. It was time to go. It's like 8 o'clock. They were closing the pool. They pretty much had to kick us out. And so we would, you know, wait. We'd be like the last little kids in the pool. And I remember the lifeguards would come and tell us, no, y'all got to get out, get out. So we'd jump out, and we got our stuff, and then we were waiting for our mom. And the guy stood there, and he was talking to me, and he's asking me questions like what my name is, and, well, what school do you go to? And, you know, pretty much, you know, really questions that I shouldn't have answered, but I was so young I didn't know, and I gave him lots of information, like where I live, what school, and everything, and my name, and all kinds of stuff. And I just didn't know any better. And it wasn't such a big deal back then, stranger danger. I mean, we did know about it, but it wasn't really something that you really, that parents really thought about a lot, you know. And it was very rare if something did happen, you know. Unfortunate if something did happen, but very rare. And so he was on a bike, and then my mom pulled up, and we got in the car, we drove home. And then the next day, I was at school, and I walked out. I was in I think it was in 6th grade. I walked out, and I looked at the corner, and it looked like that guy, and he was sitting on a bike, and I kind of didn't think it was him, because I was like, that was way over there, you know, where he was at the swimming pool, you know. Why would he ride all the way over here? And so I went home. I had to walk home by myself, and I would stay at home by myself until my mom got home. Latchkey kids, that's what they used to call us. And I noticed that the guy was I had to go across a park and then walk 2 blocks to my house. It really wasn't that far. But, you know, letting a little kid, you know, walk, and even younger than that, you know, kids from 1st grade would walk home by themselves, which, you know, most kids like that nowadays, that doesn't happen very often. He followed me home, and I didn't notice. I did notice that somebody was back there, but I didn't really know. I really, in my mind, didn't think it was him. I kind of noticed it, but I wasn't paying attention because he stayed about a block away from me. And then I was at home. I locked the door. I always would go in, lock the door, and then my sisters went to a daycare for, I believe, or no, not daycare. I think they were at a Bluebird meeting or something. They had just been allowed to stay home with me, and I had to stay home for like 2 hours before my mom would come home from work. So there was like a 2-hour time period. I was usually by myself, or sometimes my sisters. At that time, they had just stopped going to like a after-school daycare, and I was allowed to take care of them. We all three, but we were supposed to stay in the house and lock the door. And a lot of times that didn't happen. A lot of times we went out in the front yard. We would run around and play skateboard, and then the last 30 minutes we'd go and lock ourselves in, you know, so my mom wouldn't know. But this guy came to the door. He knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and I saw it was him, and he goes, "Hi, Kim. I just came to see you." And he started talking to me like we were friends, and just, you know, I know now as an adult that he was trying to look in the house behind me to see if anybody was in there. And I kind of started to get scared, and I was by myself. And then he started questioning me about my parents and what time do they get home, and just, you know, things like that. And then it just clicked. It hit me really, really hard. And I told him, I can't remember what I told him, let my dog out or do something. I said, I'll be back in just a minute. So I slammed the door and I locked it. And my heart was just beating and beating so fast, super fast. And then I believe he went around the we had an open back, our backyard was fenced, but our neighbors was open, and you could go along the side of the house. You could go up and come, into the alley and directly over, you'd be right in front of in the back of our fence, in the alley. And he kept knocking on the door, and I was so scared, but I didn't want to call my mom. I was afraid, I don't know why, I just didn't want to call my mom. She was at work. She was going to have to leave work. And I was thinking, maybe he'll go away. Maybe he'll go away. Then he went around to the back, and I could hear my dog barking. She was in the backyard, and then I got scared for my dog. I didn't want my dog to stay out there. And so I went in the back, and I opened the door, and I called her in, and she was at the back fence barking. And she was like she was a big standard dachshund. Like the big, huge, original size standard dachshund. And she was not real mean. She was the sweetest dog in the world, but she was very protective. She was barking and barking like she was going to bite him. And he crawled up onto the fence, and we had this fence that was like from the medieval time period. It was like these pole type of, like a pole, but it was like a tree, and it had bark on it, or like this flimsy bark. It looked like something that was cut down, like it was just growing like a tree. They cut it down, and they sharpened the ends, and then they just poked them in the ground. And it was a very weird fence. It was it was a good, like, self-defense fence, I guess you could say, because it had these, the points were very pokey, and I remember we tried to crawl over it several times, and, we would get it poked in the hand and everything. So it was really a good safety fence, I guess you could call it. And the guy was trying to climb over it, and he poked himself, and I heard him, jump off, and he must have poked himself really hard. He was like all upset. And then he was saying, like, I just want to talk to you, Kim. I just want to talk to you. Just saying stuff like that. And I could hear him. I was just terrified at that point. And I got my dog, finally got her to come in, and I just locked the back door. The thing that scared me is we had a glass window in the back door, and I can't stand doors like that. I've lived in another house that had a glass door, or a window in the door, and to me those are the most unsafe, scariest things. I just don't like doors like that. I like solid wood or solid metal, mostly solid metal doors that are really secure. And I was so scared that he was going to break in or something was going to happen like that. And I just had to stay there for like 2 hours waiting and waiting. And then he came around to the front, and our kitchen windows were right, probably like 10 feet from the porch. So he jumped off the porch, and he started looking in the kitchen windows, and my dog was barking. I was so scared, but I still didn't call my mom. I was just, I didn't want to get in trouble, and I was afraid I would get in trouble. Oh my God, this is just, yeah. Well, to make a long story short, the next day I went to go take out the trash. He eventually left on his own, but I went to go take out the trash. And in the alleyway was a pair of men's underwear, and it was hung on our fence, on the back fence, perfectly hung on the back fence. When you would go out the door, you had to go probably about 20 feet to get to the dumpster. He had took his underwear off and hung it on the fence. So that was probably one of the scariest things to me, as a young girl. That made me think of a crazy person, a real crazy person for the first time. Like, I had never encountered anything like that, and it was very scary, thinking that this guy had talked to me, followed me home, watched me, and then tried to get in the house or something. He wanted to talk to me or whatever, And thank goodness I had the presence of mind to keep the door locked, and thank goodness he just left. I don't know. I don't know if he ever came back. I don't know if he ever watched me again. I don't know. I never told my mom this. I kept it a secret for all my life. And I should have told her. I did something really stupid. I was dumb, young. if anything like that ever happens, if you're young and you're watching this channel, tell your parents, don't worry about getting in trouble. Don't worry about that. Just, I mean, I still, when I think about that, it still kind of, when I go outside in the dark, it still kind of scares me sometimes, you know. That was the first time I ever, like, came in contact with a person like that, a creep, you know. That's one of the first memories I have of realizing this world has creeps. And to this day, I still can remember his face. He had brown hair, he had like a bowl haircut, he had these wire-frame glasses. He wasn't real ugly, but he wasn't good looking. But at the time I was so young, and I was like, ooh, he's an ugly man, you know. And he was probably almost like 6 feet tall. I remember he was super tall. That's one of the main things I remember about his physical description. And I was very little. I was a very small child. And just, to me, that's probably one of the scariest moments of my young life. There's a few other other incidents, but that one sticks out. I mean, to this day, it's still, I mean, I can exactly remember his face. And I don't think I ever saw him ever again, and you know, for months afterwards, when I would walk home, I would be, you know, looking around, looking for him, you know, making sure he wasn't following me. And I became a lot more aware of, you know, weird people like that. Well, this is just a weird little story, and I'm probably going to tell another story time tomorrow. This is running long, but okay. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.